Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another amazing episode of Lead to Greatness, where we believe in helping others reach their greatest potential, and together we can change the world. Today on Lead to Greatness, we have Shirley Luu. Shirley is a financial advisor, hands-on trainer, #1 selling author, national speaker, and renowned wealth guru. Shirley is the CEO of Shirley Luu and Associates LLC, a financial broker firm specializing in financial services. On today's podcast, Shirley discussed how a tragic loss of her husband led her down a series of financial disadvantages and how she went from financial struggle to financial success. Please help me welcome Shirley with Financial Security. This is Cedric Francis, and you're listening to Lead to Greatness.
Shirley Luu. I have been a financial consultant and a strategist for over 20 years.
Wow.
What I really do is I specialize in helping people grow and to protect their money. Financial security, money is important to have a happy life, isn't it?
Really?
And the ultimate, I want them to live to their fullest potential. Life sometimes throws you one of those lemon and you have to turn it into a lime, sort of. Cedric, I got into here not because of my choice, but it was because of my calling.
Wow.
My husband had died unexpectedly, tragically. He had committed suicide.
Wow.
And because of that, it was really sad. My son had also witnessed it as well. So with that being said, we had to move out of the house immediately. And, like all things, you go through life, you're counting your husband to do everything, you assume we had financially secure. I had assumed all that. And the sad part is that we didn't have all that insecure. So when he died, the policy lapsed 4 months before he died. And with that being said, I was left with a 1-year-old and a 15 and a 16-year-old with no life insurance. And so I got into the financial industry because I wanted to teach women specifically about money, understand where money is, where it is at all time. And, of course, throughout the conversation, I also find conversation even with men. That conversation never have. I would ask the men, well, what's going on with your financially, money and all that? And was, oh, my wife does it all. Well, what does she? I don't know. She does it all. So I just felt very important that the conversation needed to have both sides. Know where you're at all time. What happens if you can't go to work? What happened? You get sick. What happened? You die. What happened? So that became my passion, in wanting to teach financial education. So one thing leads to the next. Here I am with you on this podcast.
Wow. Tragic story even to get there. This particular situation, going from this, like you said, turning lemons into lemonade.
Yeah.
And somebody may be in a dark place right now. What would you tell that individual?
Well, if they are in a dark place, the first suggestion I have is that don't give up hope. Absolutely do not give up hope. And it's interesting that you asked me about that because I'm about to launch a TV pilot show next year. It's going to be airing cable. And the story is called Overcomer. The stories about those women and other folks who came into a tragedy, or it could be, they single mom, they're struggling. Some of them are unemployed. They don't have any money. Well, how do you overcome? And I love the idea because guess what? I show people opportunities, Cedric. I show people opportunity. There's hope. There's light at the end of the tunnel. So that's the first thing. And I think the second thing is that you have to make a decision. You are what you are. Remember what happened to me? I could sit there and cry and people would come to me and say, I'm so sorry to hear your life stories. But you know what? The reality is people move on, Cedric. They feel sorry for you at that time, but they can't do anything. It is up to you to do something about it. So the question is whether or not do they want to move to the next step or otherwise sitting there pity-patting themselves, about that. Because I believe life gives people an opportunity you need to take. And if you can find a mentor or some, program and other stuff, you can get yourself out of where you are. I believe in life, everybody can change and can become somebody. And you know what? I would tell you this, I am a living proof of what has happened. Today, my agency has over 4,000 people and 80% are minority and women.
Wow.
And some of these will never have an opportunity. And yet here I am giving that opportunities. And you know what? And I think that's what thrives me more than anything, Cedric, of giving people the opportunity, a hope, a chance, whether it's in the business with me or whether or not I help them financially secure, giving them a roadmap. And, to be honest with you, people think that, oh, when it comes to retirement savings, I got to have a lot of money. No, Cedric, because of being uneducated and at that time about financial education, literacy, Okay. And at the same time, I was forced into a situation through a tragedy of death of my husband
Yeah.
and having three kids. I can sit there and pitter patter, and cry, well, what am I going to do next? But then my biggest fear at that time was, how do I do this? How do I survive? I may have gone through life at that time, and my kids didn't think a whole lot, about worrying about this, that, but I worry, how do I put food on the table?
Yeah.
But what am I going to do in the next thing? Okay, if I go to work, living paycheck to paycheck, is that sufficient, right? All these things came about. And because of that, I became motivated. To be honest with you, I was pushing to a cliff. And
Mm.
I either choose two options.
Mm.
I either choose to fall off the cliff or fly. And
Wow.
because I choose to fly, therefore, it is who I am today. And I think everyone have that options. So
Fall off the cliff or fly.
people plan to fail, right? Because they fail to have a plan.
Yes.
Now, also not only that, knowing your option is the key to part of your financial planning. And it's also important to know that, okay, you may say to me, well, I do have a plan. Well, the question is, do you have the old kind of plan or the new kind of plan?
You say the key is to have a plan. So let me ask you this. What are the $1 million question and $1 million decision to get there?
Okay. When it comes to your money, okay,
Uh-huh.
the $1 million question and $1 million decision is based on this. What does financial security look like for me? The reason I ask that is that everybody is
Uh,
at different time, different space, and different, you understand? Different
yes.
situation. Therefore, if I know what my plan is, and if you know what your plan is, right? Your plan may be, you know what, Shirley, it'd be cool if I can just have that, $1 million home or, financial security. I don't have to worry about any of that. Somebody else one day had said to me, you know what, Shirley, if I can make extra $1,000 a month to pay off some extra bills every month, to me, that give me a peace of mind. Another person may say my financial security plan is if I can pay off this mortgage, right? So when I said that, that $1 million question has to be is that what does financial security look like for me?
And that's awesome. I'm sitting there listening to this question and I'm looking even at my life and that finance security question, that $1 million question is totally different right now than it was 6 months ago. It's totally different right now than it was a year ago. So how would you deal with that aspect of, or what advice would you give us on that?
Well, usually, to be honest with you, I think from a financial standpoint, if every year you can just do an assessment, relook at that question because this year you may be single, next year you may get married, right? This year you don't have a baby, next year you have a baby, so therefore it changes, right? But then the other thing is that remember, besides the $1 million question, you got to have a $1 million decision. Okay.
Yes.
So the $1 million decision is this: where do I put my money? So that plays such an important part of your financial planning, because your financial decision literally determines where and how you'll be able to save, whether or not you have $1 million nest eggs or not. Games, right? We all of them. From card games to board games to sporting games, to those, even those daggone a little addicted app that you install on your smartphone, right? Regardless of age, race, nationality, or gender, everyone loves to play games of some kind, right? And yet, Cedric, there's one game, a game of life that most people are not playing nearly enough, or at least not enough to win. I'm speaking of the financial game of life. You see, unlike most games, Cedric, which you can play and stop playing, right? When you want to. In the financial game of life, guess what? It's happening 24/7, 365. As in this game, Cedric, it never stops, never sleeps, and never turns off. Sure, you could say to me, hey, Shirley, yeah, if someone died, it could just stop, right? Not exactly. You know why is that? Because sadly, even when you died, remember, you can't escape the financial game of life. Why? Because creditors still be knocking on the door, right? Debts has to be paid off. In addition to that, someone still have to pay for that funeral and final expense. And last but not least, all your assets still need to be distributed, some kind of legalized process, right? See, that's how gripping this game is. That's why I like to call the financial game of life. It's kind of like chess. All the listener in your podcast right now, are they a player or a pawn? You
Oh,
know
wow.
what happened with our pawn, right? In game of chess, right?
Yes, yes.
It could be sacrificed. It could be
Um,
manipulated. It could be moving in any direction. And when it gets captured, it's considered no big deal. Now, even for some of those people who said, I'm a player, Shirley, in the financial game of life. You could be a player, but it's not about just being a player. The player, you got to play the game to win. And that's what I want to teach people to do. You may be doing investment today. You're just playing in the game. You haven't won the game yet, but I teach you how to move to a winning strategy.
wow, wow, that's awesome. I want you to do this real quick. I want you to kind of clear it up for someone that may be okay. This financial game of life. Okay,
Yeah.
I get it that it's a game of winning and losing. You use chess and you mentioned the pawn, and a pawn is the one that piece that always gets sacrificed in the game. So in life, kind of give us a practical example of what do a pawn scenario look like? Name a pawn situation. Then after that, I want you to deal with somebody, what it looks like to be a player.
Cedric, I used to be a pawn. I was one of those lifeless game pieces that fall over, didn't have anything left, nothing left. As I sat there in the McDonald, make a decision, where do we go next? How do we move? And we beg, we plead, and those kind of things. But you know what? This little pawn came back and become a queen. In a game of chess, the pawn, when it reaches the other side, it transforms into a queen. And do you know what I want to do, Cedric? I want to transform everyone else out there to a queen. I wanted you to reach your destination. I want you winning in the financial game of life. So it's about reaching to the other side because I was a pawn. And guess what? You know what's the beautiful part about this? Is that you can get back into the game. I'll tell you it's pawn-like behavior. You ready? Not saving money, not thinking about the future. You can nonchalant, you have in, have out, oh, I'll do it another day. To me, that's pawn-like behavior, and it would be sacrificed. You will lose in the game of life. Nonchalant, right? Haphazarded. That's a pawn-like behavior. Not investing your money in the way where it can grow is pawn-like as well. Or not investing at all is pawn-like as well. Not having life insurance is absolutely pawn-like for your family. People talk about they love the family, love the family. Oh, I love my kids, I love my family. And you know what? Most of us don't leave any legacy. Why? Don't you want to create the greatest generation of wealth that you can transform your family today where they are to the next generation? Now, you could say people out there, oh, surely I got under control. They're a player. Why? They invest. I got a 401k. You heard of that?
Right.
Oh, I'm a teacher. I got a 403b. Oh, I've got an IRA. I'm a doctor's.
Right.
Well, guess what? Those I call players. But again, they're only still a player. They still got to play the game to win.
And lead to greatness. Listen, I mean, there are some people out here right now. You just listen to what she said, and you're looking at your life right now. You're like, man, I'm playing the game, and I am a pawn. My time has been sacrificed by maybe a job that you don't even want to work at. You don't even like it there, but you're being sacrificed every day. Your time has been sacrificed daily because you don't have a plan for your finance. Let's say this, because my wife and I, we had a big issue. We got married young. We got married. I was 20 years old. She was 19. And I remember I had no clue. We had no clue financial literature. We were ignorant as ignorant could get as far as finance. I read a book at 26 years old, Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And it
Love
really
them.
changed the trajectory of where I seen things. We were living from paycheck to Monday. We were barely getting by. We did all this in the name of chasing the American dream. I realized my American dream was really an American nightmare. It wasn't a dream at all.
Here's the old dream, okay, Cedric? A, find a job. B, raise a family. And C, buying a home with a white picket fence,
Yes.
cut grass, sprinkle around.
Yes.
Now, keep in mind, okay, the core principle of the American dream was still sound today, right? But the pursuit of independence, but the idea that we're shooting for that was missing something very special, missing. Why? Because remember those people that were hoping getting a home and house and all that. Remember what happened with the housing crisis? Went down, they lost a home.
Yes.
So the American dream should be that once you fulfill it, okay, you can't just pop it up like a balloon, like that housing crisis did, right? The American dream should feel more like how your house is being built with bricks rather than straw and sticks. Okay. So now let's talk about the new dream. Okay. The new dream is it has to be redefined, Cedric. Let me repeat that. The American dream needs to be redefined. And this new American dream has to be we now want financial security.
Mm.
We want to be able to be strong enough, okay, that have money to spend when we need it. Because remember, think how many people out there even want a house now? Not everybody wants a house.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
not everybody may wants to build or have kids or have family. You know what I mean? Have all these kind of things. So does that mean that these people don't deserve a dream? It just means that it is the new time horizon that it is now. We have to redefine of what that new American dream is like for each and every one of us. So that's what makes it so fun. You know, in my book, I have a thing called the Maslow hierarchy of needs. Okay.
Mhm.
You remember the old Maslow hierarchy of needs where you get taught in psychology classes, right? You know, and they got this infographic, you know, with a hierarchy level, look like a little triangle, remember, at the bottom where you got
Right,
the
right, right. Yeah.
needs and our food and water and all that.
Yeah.
Well, if they get my book, they'll see what my hierarchy of needs is when it comes to financial.
Mm.
Because income is essentially, honestly, at the end of the day, become the most fundamental financial security needs. You need guaranteed income that able to sustain to pay all your bills. Whether you have an apartment or whether you have a house or whether you have a car. Bottom line is, if I have income coming in to satisfy all my needs, that to me is part of financial, you know, redefined. Okay, where Cedric can say, you know what, Shirley, hey, my bills. If I can get 15,000 a month in from now to the day I die, I'm cool. I'm set. I don't have to worry about it. I can sleep at night. Whether that 15,000 to pay for your mortgages or your car or your kids, it doesn't matter. The fact is, you have defined, hey, if I can have $15,000, I don't have to worry about that.
Mm.
There was a gentleman that read my book, contacted me, and he says, I would like to have 20,000 a month. And he gave me, and I'm like, whoa, 20,000. So I'm just, thinking, you know, you better have, other people say, God, you just got to have 40, $50 million.
Yeah.
No, Cedric, we don't. If you learn to leverage the kind of money where you have and reposition that money. Have you ever heard of an account? Think about it, for every dollar you put in the bank match 3, 1 to 3 matching.
Wow.
Guess what? Those are available. And how many people out there don't know about it? How many people out there that you and I are talking to right now in the audience? And I guarantee with you, people that are listening in right now, any of your audience right there that happens to say, well, I've heard of it and I have it, call me and I would treat them to the restaurant of their choice. That's how strong it is. So the other things about what make me thrive in here is that I've learned some new products, that emerging products that you and I were not privy to it. And so I want to bring that financial education to the masses, okay? To the masses, you know? So financial security has become what the new American dream. Here are some of the questions that the audience needs to ask themselves, okay?
Uh-huh.
Well, what is the best way, to take care of my family financially? Okay. What is the best way to save my money? What is the best way to grow my money? What is the best way to protect my money? Not just grow, but you got to protect it. Okay. What is the best way to prepare for my retirement? What is the best way, simplest way to be smart about my money? What is the best way to prepare myself financially for emergency or serious illness? Illness will kill you before death. I'm telling you, it would go bankrupt you. What are other ways to save for the future besides the 401k, the TSP, and the traditional IRAs, mutual fund stocks? So again, going back to the question, what does financial security look like for me?
That is awesome. I want, because you mentioned something. You mentioned the traditional way, the old American dream. You talked about traditional investments. Why are traditional investments like going all in, every hand in poker?
So in the games of poker, right, you got your whole hands, right? And you're sitting across the table. And what do you see sometimes people do? They take all the money and then they say, I'm all in. And you know the American people that they play pokers all day long and they don't realize it? Their entire 401k mutual fund and everything that they have inside these stock stuff every single day, every single month, every single weeks, every single year, it is all in. All it takes is one hand to lose, and it changes the whole dynamic of your portfolio.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people are willing to risk it. Why? Now, Cedric, what if I took you to a game of poker and I said you could be all in, but you never lose? Cedric, what if I told you that exists? And it's so funny because when I started this, no one believed me. I was going against the biggest firm in the country, all the big boys.
Wow.
And I would tell you this, I stood my ground. And today I am where I am today is because I stood my ground and I proved to the world out there are things that you can play all in and you never lose a dime. That's the uniqueness of teaching about financial education literacy. It's okay to diversify your money, right? But I also believe in that what if I can teach you in a game of poker or take you playing casino all day long, you never lose?
Amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. What money advice for millennials, women 60 plus, saving for education, etc.?
The money advice is right now, because you mentioned to me that some are younger millennial, which is very,
Uh-huh.
very young.
Yes.
First suggestion is that for the young ones, start now. Don't
Mm,
wait.
got you.
Time will kill you. Procrastination will kill you, because if you're young enough, let that money grow for you. For the 60-year-old, then they need to meet me
Mm,
because what? They're behind times. People that are 50 years old, 60 years old, they're saying, oh my God, I'm 60 years old. I've been working on my business, everything else, and I have not thought about savings, retirement. Hey, bud, there's only one way to catch up. It's called leverage. That means uses other people's money to create more money for you. And that's what you have to do. Most of my clients in that arena right now are 55 and 60 and above, that I'm teaching them how to use leverage. The
wow.
behind time. What if I told you there's a 5-year retirement plan, Cedric?
Wow.
5 years.
5 year retirement plan.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's in my book. It's in my IUL ASAP book. And
Oh,
and it's funny because I had one guy call me. He goes, I'm an attorney. I said, okay. He goes, I read your book. I said, okay. And he said, I've been following many authors. And he said, but reading your book has taught him so much. And he said, you were no nonsense. And the book was fun reading. That was him. It was fun reading. But he said it was so sophisticated in a way as well. And I love that idea. And he said, and you answer every question from a legal standpoint,
uh,
that you answer my question, and I'm willing to give you $2.6 million. And to me, that was pretty cool. Yeah.
wow.
I know, never. And you know what, Cedric, it is stories after stories after story, countless of story that people don't even know me, reaching out to me. Right now, a lot of magazines. I'm in, been featured in Forbes, Oprah, and Washington Business Journal's talking to me right now, and I'm in the running for Forbes 50 over 50 women in the country.
Amazing.
So,
Wow, that's awesome. What is the three-letter word that many people on Wall Street don't want us to know about?
well, it's called IUL. And if they go on Amazon, they can look up IUL ASAP. When it was launched, it hit on Amazon a couple weeks ago, number one in 7 category, Cedric. And it hit number one in life insurance. It was in insurance. It was hit number one in investing, number one in financial planning, number one in women in business. Okay, number one into introduction to investing. Then it was investing. I mean, all these kind of things. And then overnight, that book became number one bestseller in a category against all the old author that I
Wow.
was competing against.
Wow.
People, as you may have heard, like Susie Orman and Dave Ramsey. I took
Yes.
the number one spot.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Number one bestseller in that category as of today, on the life insurance category. Not bad, right? From a newcomer, no one know her, no one ever heard of, no one ever seen of, and any of this stuff. And now suddenly, here we are.
Oh,
And
man.
so the IUL, it stands for Index Universal Life. People always thought life insurance, oh, it's a life insurance. No, 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 no. The rich know how to use the game of sheltering, but you gotta not just working with just anybody. You gotta work with someone that knows the stuff. You gotta work with someone that be able to specialize, right? And structure the IUL properly to get it what it needs to do. You understand?
Right.
Okay. Remember I told you 1 to 3 matching, all those stuff. It's all unique stuff. Now, for those of you who perhaps wants to connect with me, right, Cedric, and they're sitting here to think, oh, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more.
Yes.
Well, you know what? You can easily go on Amazon.com and order, the book IUL ASAP, and you can look at the review and you can look all this and that. Or another way is, guess what? We created something special for you. Anybody can also go in if they need it. Absolutely said, Shirley, I want to hear now. I want to talk to you now and all that. Then they could go on to IULASAP.com/podcast. PODCAST. And I can send them some information and all that as well. And I promise you, if people reach us out, they're going to learn a whole lot of stuff. And by the way, you know what? There's no charge for my service at all.
Oh,
I
wow.
wanted to create a agency where my people truly help people. Oh, I work with so many churches and everything else. I find in the church industry, you are so overlooked. You give your heart and soul and everything else, and no one ever takes care of you. We want to change that. I want to take care the church, the pastor, the minister, the bishop, all those people who take care of the church. And at the same time, I want to reach out and stop the craziness of GoFundMe. Okay. You know how many times you see GoFundMe when someone dies? And what they do is first thing they come to you is they said, hey, Pastor Cedric, can you help?
Yeah,
Well, I don't mean to say this. After a while, the well's going to run dry for you guys.
absolutely.
We have to teach our people a better way
Mm.
of doing that. Okay. And by the way, I noticed you serve in the United States Army. Thank
Yes.
you for thank you for your service, bud.
Thank
Oh
you
my
so
gosh.
much.
Do you know my son also served in the Army?
Really? Right now?
He just left the Army, but he
Okay.
was a ranger
Oh,
as
wow.
well, and he was also an airborne and
Yeah.
all that. But my son today is working on his PhD at MIT in
Wow.
aerospace and physics.
That is
Yes.
amazing. With a mother like you, I mean, he had no choice but to be successful.
Oh,
That is
thank you,
that is
thank
that is that is awesome, awesome, awesome. And I want you to a little teaser of your book.
you. The book IULASAP.
Uh-huh.
It is simply very, very simple. This how to win the financial game of life. I'm going to teach you invest like the wealthy, and I'm going to teach you how to generate tax-free income
Wow.
with the three-letter words. Okay,
Right.
so that's one of the first thing. And the book here is pretty cool because it's got here first thing first in this book. So one of the things is that rather than getting to nitty gritty and all that, they'll understand my why, who this book is for. So listen up, guys. If you don't fit in any of these category, you don't need to buy the book. Okay. If you're about to retire or just retired, then this book is for you. If you're recently married or married for years like you, then this book is for you. If you're a millennial, Gen Z, Gen X, or baby boomers, and wondering what are the best ways to save money, then this book is for you.
Mm.
If you had a lot of cash on hand, then this book is for you. If you have a high income, then this book is for you. If you own term life insurance, then this book is for you. If you're currently employed and allocate money, either 401k, 529 plan, TSP, IRA, or Roth IRA in every paycheck, then this book is for you. If you're looking for a simple, elegant solution to retirement planning, then this book is for you. If you have a family or ever plan to have a family, then this book is for you. If you're wanting to know how the rich have been saving money and creating wealth for decades, then this book is for you. If you have a financial advisor, then this book is definitely for you. Now, if you are an employer, how many of you out there, employer or business partner, owner that truly cares about the financial well-being of your people and want to offer yet another savings option through paycheck deduction, then this book is for you.
Mm.
If you just came into or about to come into an inheritance of some kind, then this book is for you. If you consider yourself to be a savvy investor who's tuned into the financial markets and your portfolio and all those wonderful things, then this book is for you. If you haven't started seriously saving yet, then this book is for you. Most importantly, last but not least, if you consider yourself to be financially illiterate or feel financially lost and feel like you have no idea what to do with your money or for your savings, then this book is for you, because reading this book is the major step in avoiding the ignorance of what I think is the most dangerous thing to be ignorant about, your financial security.
Man, a knowledge bomb to go.
Thank you, Cedric. Cedric, I love your platform. I love what you do for people. You should be recognized for that because you teach people and share people with things out there, that change people's lives. And that's what's really is all about, is that you were placed here to change lives. And by the way, your beautiful wife, I would love to meet her one day.
Okay.
I see her. She looks spunky as
Yes,
well.
yes, yes. That's my baby.
Well, anyway, yes, say hello to her for me.
Okay, absolutely. Absolutely. Will do. This is really awesome. And I love podcasts like this and information, getting to the Lead to Greatness community to really, help them reach their greatest potential, in life and finance and, really every aspect of their life. I was one of the things about 4 years ago now, I was sick. I was sick with thyroid disease.
Oh.
And because you have insurance, but you still have to pay copays. And it's like in those positions, even when things like that, when life happens like that, it's like having the money really helps, in a situation like that. So money is very dear to me as well. And I really thank you for sharing on this podcast. So if someone wanted to connect with you and what you're doing, where should they go?
The best way is if they have internet, just go type iulasap.com/podcast, PODCAST. Okay. They can put in the information, and that's how the best way to get in touch with you. iulasap.com/podcast. podcast. Cedric, it's interesting. Last note that you mentioned about that, you had thyroid and you had issue and all that.
Yeah.
During COVID, client were calling me, they lost their job. The account that we had, they were able to tap into the account and take money out when they needed to use it. There were death that was happening. We were able to pay out on that. Okay. There were people who said, well, Shirley, I can't afford to pay because I have no job. Do you know I was able to allow this account to go on for the next 20 years without having to pay for it? And it's still active.
Wow.
And then there was another guy needed to cash out $30,000. He was able to do it. And then there was another person saying, hey, can I activate my lifetime income right now? And now they're getting lifetime income for the rest of their life. That's what financial planning is about. If your product can do that, then you've got a right financial plan. If it doesn't do anything that I just told you, then you got the wrong one. You got the old kind of plan. So I encourage people, if anything at all, reach out to you, Cedric, reach out to me so that they can learn, hey, what are the new kind that's available today? The new plan versus old plan. That's all.
Those are some great stories. And most people don't even believe this exists. Again, the Lead to Greatness audience, thank you for sharing this information and even for your platform for us to go to, get the help that we need. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And don't forget to subscribe to Lead to Greatness if this is your first time. And this podcast was helpful to you, leave a big thumbs up. And also, I want you to check out our Marriage Coach podcast, the podcast with my wife and I. If you're on iTunes, please rate this podcast and leave a review and help get the word out. Again, thank you, Lead to Greatness Nation, for joining us on today. Looking forward to seeing you again on next week. Till then, remember, if you help others reach their greatest potential, together we can change the world. Peace. We out.